You're watching another great interview on Audio Inc. Radio.
What's going on? It's Anne Erickson with Audio Inc. Radio, and I'm happy to be here with metal royalty Doro. How are you?
Hey, very good, very good. Yeah, like I told you, I'm just sitting in my car. I'm on my way to the studio, and we did some open air festivals already. So last week we started, and I'm so happy. Everything is, coming back to normal, and we are all excited. And yeah.
That is so exciting. How did it feel to finally be back on the stage in kind of like a traditional form?
Yeah, awesome. The fans were so on fire. We were all hungry, so it felt great. And this coming weekend, we have a beautiful festival in Belgium. It's called Alcatraz, and all the great bands, all our friends are there. So this will be the first normal festival. And before we did we did all kinds of weird things like beach chair open airs where people were sitting in a beach chair and they were far away. So you had to work 10 times harder to make everybody happy, but it worked. I'm happy that we could do, something. It's better than sitting on a couch at home. So yeah, so it was great. Everybody was so happy. Yeah.
I love the fact that you're actually one of the first artists who did the drive-in performance last year.
I tell you, yeah, I know a couple of musicians said, we would never do it. But I tell you, I think, what you make of it, that's that's up to you. And yeah, it was much, much more work to get, people like into it and, to connect with the fans because, yeah, the distance that was unbelievable. It was like so far away, but a couple of times I could go into the audience and everybody was rocking out singing and it was fantastic and it was different, but it reminded me a little bit on our All We Are video. I don't know if you remember that. We were performing on top of a tour bus and everybody was sitting in their cars, and then through the magic of metal everybody came to life and was rocking out, and it reminded me on the same movie set, on the same video set. So it was actually pretty cool. And I like doing different things. It's always an adventure. It's always a big challenge. So, and it was cool. It was cool. Everybody had fun. I think the fans loved it. So, but of course it was different. But, like in this day and age, you have to do what you have to do. And I'm very happy that everything was safe. So, that was that's my main concern, that everybody stays healthy, that it's safe. Of course, I love to play these sweaty clubs or these festivals where everybody's having a great time and being close to each other. But yeah, at this moment, it's all, it's a little bit different. So, we're flexible. Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's a great way to be. And it's very cool that you actually have the 35th anniversary of Triumph and Agony.
Yes.
Wow. Can you believe it's been 35 years?
Oh, no, it feels like maybe 5 years or something. And I remember the recording like it was yesterday. And, and then we had great touring moments. In Europe, we toured with the legendary Ronnie James Dio, and we became great friends. And then in America, we did a great tour with Megadeth and Sanctuary. And I became friends with the guys in Megadeth and Sanctuary. They had this great singer, Boral Dane, who's actually not anymore with us. But yeah, the best memories. And of course, the time was so awesome. 87, 88, there was like the peak of metal. And yeah, it was that was my favorite record. And, and now we recorded it live, and it was so cool to play all these songs, which we haven't played the whole entire album ever. It was just like when we thought, okay, it's the 30th anniversary, let's try it out. And it was a real treat. And, like stuff like, Kiss of Death or Make Time for Love or 3 Minute Warning, we never played actually, maybe one time, but a long time ago. So it was great. All these songs came to life, and I think the album had the best of the best songs, and I still always play All We Are. That's my favorite anthem, and we usually open up with I Will Ruins or Für immer. That was the first German song, actually in 3 languages. Deep Inside My Heart, Für immer. a little bit English, German, and then a Spanish sentence. And I still play these songs every single concert, every single night. And and they're still feeling so strong. And I think live it's even better than the studio recording because of the fans. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you most remember about that period when Triumph and Agony came out, kind of in that like mid to late 80s? Like you said, it was really metal was just like huge.
It was so awesome. I always wanted to go to America, and then I had this chance to do a promotion tour for 3 days. It was actually our third album, True as Steel. Yeah, and then I went to New York, and I tell you, I fell in love with America, fell in love with New York. I always wanted to go there, but then there was no stopping, and I had 3 days, and after 2 days, I knew I wanted to stay. And then everything fell into place. I met great people. I had an American manager. He was actually from Switzerland, so he could speak both, like German, and Swiss German, French, and English. And he was great, and he supported me so much. And then he said, "Well, I want to introduce you to somebody. Maybe you can check out the metal scene and the record stores and the clubs." So I met this guy. His name was Joey Balin. He was a musician. And we went, to all the record stores, which I thought it was amazing. They were open 24 hours. It was in the time when Tower Records, for example, was still going strong. And it was great. And then we went, to see all the clubs. Yeah, and then around midnight, we said, shall we go to another club or what shall we do? And, and I said, oh, Joey, the club scene in Europe is really great as well. It's not much different. And he said, so what do you want to do? Go home or go into your hotel? And I said, well, shall we do a little jam session? So we went up to his place and we did a little jam session. And I told him about some experiences on tour, some experiences I had when I had my first record out. It was called Burning the Witches. And we did a little promotion tour to Hungary. And back then, it was totally different. It was still like the former East. Everything was really serious, really scary. And we went to the border and we had our trunk full of records, was vinyl. And then all the guys at the border, they took it away. And we thought, we knew we would get into trouble. And I told Joey about that story. And him being an American, he didn't even know how it is when you're not like a free country. Here you are free, you can do and say whatever you want. And I told him about it. So we wrote our first song, and the song was called East Meets West. When East meets West, there's going to be a hell of a mess. And that was the first song. We recorded it on a little Walkman. And the next day I went to my manager and she said, how was it? How was the club scene and so on? I said, oh, cool. But I think we wrote an awesome song. He said, let me hear it. And it was East Meets West. He said, wow, it seems you guys have good chemistry. Why don't you guys go on, writing more stuff? So we did every day a new song. Second song was 3-Minute Warning. Yeah, and then we went into the Power Station studio, which was the best studio in the world back then in Manhattan. And it sounded great. We had a great engineer. He became the engineer for Jim Steinman later, for Meatloaf. His name was Steve Rinkoff. He was a young guy, but super talented, super nice. Yeah, and then we did like these 3 songs. And then the record company guys, they came, to listen to it. And I said, oh, wow, that guy's the producer and you stay. So I could stay in America. And then we recorded the Triumph and Agony album. And it was great. Best memories. And yeah.
Wow. Well, tell me about the release that you have on the way in honor of the anniversary of Triumph and Agony.
Yeah, because it's the anniversary. And I called up my guitar player from '87. His name is Tommy Bolan, and he was a friend of Joey. And because we want to do really killer demos, so Joey said, I know somebody who's like great metal guitar player, and he was Tommy. So Tommy came into the studio and he was like unbelievable. He's so full of energy, and when he played the solos and the tracks, he was bleeding, sweating on the floor, on his back. And I thought, wow, that's great. And then I called Tommy a couple of years ago and I said, Tommy, Triumph and Agony, it's the anniversary. And we always stayed friends. We always stayed in contact. And Tommy said, hey, I'm ready. Let's do it. So we did a little America tour, a little Spain tour, played many festivals in Europe, the Graspop Festival, Norway Rock, and Sweden Rock. And that was actually so awesome. We recorded like beautiful visual stuff. And that's why it's like a package. It's the CD, live CD, and the Blu-ray. And that's like, yeah, the Sweden Rock Festival. And then there's a documentary on it. And it's all old school material. Like it's on CD, on vinyl, like marbled vinyl, with the biggest album cover in the world. And it has a little figurine. The Warlock is holding me, and a cassette as well, and patches and all, like, you know, all stuff what we used to love in the 80s. And I thought, for this Triumph and Agony life, I would love to have all that old school stuff, you know, coming back. And yeah, and I'm sure the diehard fans, they will probably like it and collect it. And yeah.
Yeah, I love cassettes. So I'm so happy that cassettes are kind of coming back a little bit.
Yes, yeah. I tell you, vinyl is coming back big time, and I'm so happy. I love the sound of vinyl. I think it's more warm. It's so powerful. It's so human. I love it, and I think, you know, of course you can get in an all like stream and everything, but I definitely prefer the vinyl version, and I think I feel more. Mm-hmm.
You were one of the first women really to be out there in metal music, really pioneering. And I'm wondering, what was that like? I mean, did it feel weird kind of being one of the few women at the time?
Actually, I felt totally natural. It was like not a big deal to me. I love metal. I love the fans. So I always felt really, you know, accepted. I was treated really great, like with all, you know, all the touring, like, for example, my first tour with Judas Priest, and we're still friends. They supported me. Then Dio, he was so nice to me, and Motorhead, Lemmy was my best friend. So they were all very supportive, and I never felt, you know, I was one band member. It didn't really matter that I was a woman or where I was from. I think music is above that all, and I always felt really good, and it's great to be a woman, I must say. And you know, and the only thing what I noticed was when we played the legendary Monsters of Rock festivals in '86. It was Castle Donington in England, which was a very important festival. It was the biggest at the time. And I had some stage clothes, like I always wear, like, you know, some stuff, like usually it was leather in the '80s. Now it's not anymore real leather, because I became vegan, and, you know, I don't wear real leather anymore because of for the animals. But back then I had all kinds of stuff, and, you know, all kinds of, like, you know, like you had to tie it together. And then I couldn't find a girl or a lady on the whole backstage area, which was like hundreds of people there. They were all guys. That was the only time that I thought, wow, I think I'm the only woman here. And then I asked my drummer, hey, can you fix me up? He said, yeah, sure. And but I didn't even realize that it was such a, you know, different thing. It was just, I was always a metalhead, so yeah, but it felt good. And sometimes some, you know, female musicians, they said, we saw the All We Are video, and then we wanted to form a band, or, you know, or play the guitar or start to sing. So I guess it inspired some, you know, I guess, girls and guys. So yeah.
Right. No, it did. I think that's so great that from day one, it was just kind of like, I love metal and I'm here, and that you never felt different or whatever.
No. And I grew up in a truck. My dad, he was a truck driver. So I was always around men. It didn't make me feel, you know, different. They were always very nice. And I love people, and I love music. I love the fans, and everybody knew that I wouldn't, you know, that I wouldn't just do it for a year or for 2 years, that I was in it for life, you know. So I think they could feel it. Even when I was very young, you know, everybody knew that's, you know, she's serious about it, you know. Yeah.
Do you feel like now when you look around, there are like tons of women, you know, in metal compared to when you started out?
Yeah, yes, actually. It's great. It's great to see. I think it's more balanced. That's awesome. And in the '80s, there were some great women. For example, Lee Aaron, or Rock Goddess, an all girl band from the UK. I loved the singer Jodie Turner, and leader for Joan Jett, Girls School. And there were some women, you know, like doing a great job, and usually we were all friends as well, so that was great. And now it's like, yeah, tons of great talented women, you know, musicians and singers, and yeah, we're all pretty much connected. Like yeah, and we all support each other, and and really, really friends, and yeah, and yes, yeah. Sometimes some like yeah, like musicians, they called me up and they said, hey, do you have an advice and stuff? And I said, yeah, since I'm doing it for such a long time, I can talk out of experience, so. But I always would say, follow your heart, whatever it is, you have to be you, and you have to stay yourself and believe in yourself, and and work at it hard, and I think the best part is when you work at it every day. I think there's something about it, doing something every day, and then and then the more you do it, the more you learn about it, and the more you find out what you really love, what you really feel you can do the best, and what sets you apart from from the rest, or what is your style you like. So so yeah, sometimes some young musicians, they ask me about stuff, and but of course you have to listen to your heart and follow your
That's
heart.
great advice. Yeah, what are your thoughts on metal music today? Do you think that heavy metal is in a good place?
Oh yeah. I think it's great. It's great. When I started out in the 80s, really sometimes people look down at metalheads. And I remember a couple of times we went to some restaurants, wanted to get some food, and they didn't serve us because they were probably scared,
Yeah.
And yeah, and now I feel metal is so accepted. Everybody knows, all these bands. Everybody loved Lemmy and Dio, and and it's much, it's like, it's cool. But in the beginning, it was sometimes hard, but then I thought, that's cool, to be an outlaw. I don't mind. I think it's even cool, and but I think now it's in a great place, and all these great festivals and strong big tours, and I think it's really good. And of course, it always goes up and down. And, and sometimes, like, for example, in the 90s, it was a little bit tough because, when grunge took over, then the normal heavy metal, rock, that wasn't supported so much anymore, because the whole industry, they only wanted to, have the grunge stuff. And I recorded, I think, at least 5-6 records. And I put all my heart and soul into them. And then I, showed the record company, like I said, I think this could be a great single. This could be a great video. And, check it out, listen to it. I think it's a great record. And I said, well, is it grunge? And I said, no, it's not grunge. They said, it has to be grunge. I said, no, it's not grunge at all. Not at all. And then they didn't even want to listen to it. They said, well, we can't, do the marketing. You have to do grunge. And I said, well, I don't feel it. I'm a metalhead. And then I did a couple of records that were more industrial, which I loved. But, they said, no, it has to be grunge. And I thought, oh my God. And then in 2000, then I felt, metal is coming back. And then I did a wonderful tour with Ronnie James Dio again. It was, we had our Calling the Wild album out, and he had the Magica album out, and that was the first big America tour again. Oh, that was so awesome. Ingve Malmsteen was on the bill too. And and then I felt, it's going, it's coming back. And ever since 2000, I think it's going up and up and up, and getting bigger and bigger, and that's great. But sometimes, you have to live with it. You have to stick to it. And, it always goes up and down. And, and I'm happy when we play in front of people. It doesn't have to be the big stadiums. It can be a small, sweaty club. I'm a happy baby when I see the first rows, like when they head banging in my face, when I get the sweat in my face. So it's all good, like big and small. And as long as there are some people who love it, and so I must say, it's great to do it for such a long time, because it's it always comes back, and sometimes you have to wait a little bit. And in that time, what I just told you, it took 10 years, so that was a little bit long. but you have to hang in there, and
That's a great point. And you actually mentioned that you were good friends with Lemmy and Ronnie James
yeah.
Dio, who are both no longer with us, sadly. What do you miss most about them?
Yeah, I miss that we don't talk anymore. Like with Lemmy, we were always text messaging, and and when he was playing somewhere that sometimes we played in the same city, sometimes we played together. We did great festivals or a great tour together. But sometimes he was somewhere in the world and I was there as well. And then I thought I got to go and say hi, and then and we had a great time. We did actually 3 songs together. The first time that I did a duet was on the Calling the Wild album, and I was in LA and we recorded 2 songs. It was Alone Again, a song Lemmy wrote on his acoustic guitar. He could play great guitar, and wow, and he played it for me, and I tell you, my tears, they were pouring down because it was so sweet, so emotional, and so sad. And then we recorded a great Motorhead classic, Love Me Forever. So we spent a couple of weeks in the studio, and Lemmy would never sleep. After a long session, it was 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Actually, Bob Kulick, he was recording it and playing guitar, who's actually not anymore with us as well. He was a great guy. Yeah, and then after the long session, Lemmy said, hey, you want to do something? And I said, well, shall I drive you home? He said, no, just drive. So we drove all night, and he was, always checking out new music, and we were singing along and talking, having sometimes really nice, deep talks. And then we went back into the studio at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and Lemmy would never sleep. So I miss talking to him and having a good time. And Dio, wow, he was like my hero. Like when it came to singers, I always loved Dio and David Coverdale, Rob Halford, and Dio, he was like a big inspiration. So when we went on tour a couple of times together, I learned so much from him, and just hanging out together. And sometimes we went to a restaurant. Dio always liked Indian food at that time, so we always tried to find the best Indian food. And then we started the tour in San Francisco, and we finished in Florida, and we became great friends. And then in Florida, we always were singing the encores together. At first, Dio left the stage, and I thought, wow, where's he going? It was in the set. And then he came back with the second microphone, and the guys in my band, they said, Doro, you're up. And I thought, oh, no, I don't know the lyrics. And then Ronnie came up and he said, Doro, please, let's sing this one together. And I said, Ronnie, I don't know every word. He said, doesn't matter. And then he took me in his arm, and then we sang our hearts out, and the fans loved it. So these memories, they were like the best, like being with the greatest people and my favorite people, and together with the audience, with the fans. So I miss that so much. And yeah, and we always had plans to do more touring, more festivals together, more songs together. Actually, one time a journalist told me that he talked to Ronnie, and that Ronnie said that he had plans to do a Magica 2 and Magica 3 album, and that he was thinking of doing a duet together. And I thought, oh, I would have loved that. So, but but memories, that they're always deep in my heart. Oh my God, yeah. And I always love talking about, especially Dio and Lemmy. And yeah, it was an honor to even get to meet these great people and great guys, and they both had a heart of gold, and oh man, so unique. And yeah.
Wow. Well, Doro, it's been awesome chatting with you. Thanks so much for hanging out, and definitely look forward to seeing you on the road here in America sometime soon.
Yes. Oh man, I can't wait. Life, that's what I love the most. And yeah, I hope I see you very soon too. And yeah, all the best to everybody, all the metalheads. I love you guys and girls.